That time of week, we get to talk to our good friend Ryan Divish, our MLB insider / our furniture salesman of the year. It's all brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, proudly serving the community since 1941, located in Tacoma's historic Proctor District. They've been family-owned and operated for 40 years, delivering top-notch service, unique 12-lane experience. Visit chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. Experience the best in local fun. How are you, gorgeous?
Good. Just chilling here at the furniture store.
Yeah, we sell any? We're not open yet, right?
No, we're open.
Okay.
But Wednesday's not exactly a big day in terms of generating sales.
It's not. No one's beating down the door to come in and get a love seat.
No, and I don't mind that actually. I mean, I'm trying to get, I got administrative stuff to do and stuff for coaching, so it's always a chance to just kind of sit here and relax a bit.
Yeah.
So,
How's the
Havre
North
with the game afternoon game? I can throw that on too and watch it.
How are the boys doing? How's the Havre North Stars? Give us an update.
It's good. We have our second doubleheader on Saturday. Going to be a little more difficult because I'm missing 5 kids due to a track meet in Polson, Montana, including Tyson, probably our best hitter, and then our starting center fielder. So that's kind of a issue. So we're going to have 10 kids off of my normal team. And then I called up a couple of kids off of our B team to just hang out in the dugout mostly. So, I don't have to warm up the pitcher and stuff like that. But yeah, that, this time of year when and I encourage all of our kids to do multiple sports, especially track, because I think it's good for you to learn how to run properly.
Yeah.
But, it does suck, and then I have certain parents that were like, well, just reschedule it. And one, I didn't schedule this doubleheader. The other coach did. And two, I was like, I called the coach and said, hey, here's what we're dealing with. And he's like, yeah, we're dealing with it too. And they're like from Miles City, which is about 5 hours away, 5.5 hours away. They come up, they play up here against another team on Sunday. So they're just kind of doing a loop going back around. So, I mean, it is what it is. And the one thing is, like, you get a chance for other kids to play a little bit more, and so we'll see how it goes. The kids that were going to start last night, most of them, we did our situational drills and stuff like that. It got a little ugly at times, but you know what? We'll figure it out.
When does it not get a little ugly?
Oh, I mean, and that's the thing, like we had the other day, God bless these kids, but sometimes, like, I want them, I'm fine with them being a little social and talking and stuff, but we're playing catch and balls aren't getting caught and they're going over. I just lose shit. And so, like, I said, next ball,
Yeah.
I told the assistant coach, keep track of every ball that's not caught or goes past somebody. We'll just run a lap for every one of them around the big field.
Good.
It's funny. Then it gets cleaned up real quick, right? Like the focus level.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we have to talk about a little bit. We talked about yesterday. It's just their intent and their own personal accountability for the results. Like they look around all the time like, well, I did it right. No, you didn't. That's why it didn't work. Kids.
Kids. Why do we care so much?
Yeah.
Why do we care so much?
It's
so dumb. It's so dumb. I think about this stuff way too much. Mm-hmm. It's just bad. It's bad for your health. It really is. It's just as bad for your health. You can't. Sometimes I just can't turn my brain off thinking about, oh my God, we didn't do this, we didn't do that.
I need the
not healthy.
I'm gonna need that horseshoe that's crammed up the Mariners' ass on Saturday night a little bit for some of the wins that they have pulled off lately. It's absurd.
They're doing it's we talked about this before. It's kind of a head scratcher. You kind of shake your head at it, but they just keep winning. They're just find ways to win. It's the old right at Notre Dame's got it on there. I think a lot of teams got it as they touch it as they go out to the field. Find a way to win. They just do. They've found new interesting ways to win and they deliver. I mean, I felt that this would happen on the game when they won on Tuesday, just because the guy that's coming up. The guy, every time he steps to the plate in Cal Raleigh and they've got a chance to take a lead or he's got a chance to win the game, I'm like, he's just going to deliver. Just has that, I don't know, what do you call it, that it factor? Just has it.
Yeah, he doesn't get sped up too often, and you're pretty surprised. like even when he makes an out, the at bat is usually very competitive. Like the other night when he struck out against Mason Miller, but fouled off all them pitches and really pushed Mason Miller into a territory that he didn't want to be in. I mean, that's the ideal aspect of it all. But you look at some of the plate appearances the other night, like Julio drawing the walk. I thought Julio had a really good game. Honestly, I thought he played really well. That homer to center is freaking absurd. And then, I mean, maybe don't bunt sometimes, but like with Randy, but like, it's.
What was the Polanco?
Called.
Which one? The Polanco bunt or the Randy bunt?
Yeah, I can't remember the
Polanco. I didn't understand.
I don't even
the Polanco
know if some of those
one.
are called.
Yeah.
Like they don't call a lot of bunts. Like players kind of do some of that stuff on their own. It was like earlier this year when Polanco had that goofy 2-out bunt to the left side or whatever after he had a couple of hits.
Yeah.
And you're like, ask Dan. He's like, no, we didn't call that.
Yeah.
Like
I don't need to see him. I don't need to see him bunt.
We talked about this before, I think, on here, or maybe it was on the podcast I used to do for the Times. But like a lot of times with like stolen bases and bunts and stuff, that's not called from the dugout. Those are player reads. Like we talked about with Dylan Moore and Julio. They're just green. Green means go. You can go when you want, get a read, go. With somebody and even Cal has the read on certain pitchers. Now, there are times where they may call it because you're trying to avoid a double play or something like that. But for the most part, stuff like that, the strategy, because we're not seeing a bunch of hit and runs and stuff like that. It's not, this isn't high school baseball where you're trying to force the action. They trust their players to make the proper decisions to create the action. I've given our players that freedom. And at one point, Tyson, I'm looking in our first game and, I'm just waiting. It's like waiting for him to go. And he kind of looks at me and I just go, like, are you going to go or not? Basically. And so, but no, I like, some of the stuff they do. I mean, like whatever, it's working. You bank the wins and you get them as many as you can, because there's going to be a lull where all the luck and all the stuff that, isn't going to go right, or,
sure.
Cal might get into a slump or something, but so win the games you can, steal the games you can win and go from there. I mean, I think the A's are pretty good. The A's had just a little bit better pitching.
I like the A's a lot. I think that's the team that's going to, like at the end of the year, those are the two teams that are going to be going at it.
And I mean, like the one thing is like you can tell the A's are not afraid of the Mariners pitching, especially their bullpen. Other than Munoz, who gives them a little bit of fits. Even then, the other night wasn't good, but like they just grind it out. And even like Rooker, who's the one guy who strikes out a little bit against the Mariners, he puts the ball in play and gets a lot of quality contact.
They swing, they're aggressive. I mean, that Jack Wilson guy is just a
Jacob Wilson.
Or Jacob Wilson. What did I call him?
I was listening to you the other day. I was like,
did I call him Jack Wilson?
Every time you say Jack, you're going to have to. I was wondering how many people were texting you or messaging you. And then
I always
drink every time. It's
I know
like
it is. You know what? Good call. Yeah. Drink every time. Put $1 in the kitty. Yeah, Jacob Wilson. He is. I mean, he's a pest.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good player. And they're a solid team. They don't have a ton of depth, like quality depth, but I mean, they kind of just, they know how they want to play and they go out and play that way. They're going to be, a lot of those guys are locked up for a while, so they're going to be pretty salty. They got some guys coming.
First baseman's good. Yeah, they got young talent. They're a good, scrappy little ball club. It's been a good series, and we'll see if they can get it today. They win. If they win on Wednesday, they'll be as we record this, their 9th straight series win. And yeah, they just I think their ability to withstand all these injuries and moving parts has been really impressive for them.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing is too is like, I think the way they're kind of how they play now with some of these players, it's a more efficient way. Like we talked about Rivas and his defense. Having him out there has cleaned up a lot. I mean, think about some of the runs he has saved in the last few games. And then. Having a way that they want to play Polanco now that he's a little more healthy, can play more, but you have an identity of how you want to play these guys, when you want to play Cal, which was basically every day. But I think they've been pretty solid that way. And by kind of the nature of who they brought up, the strikeouts have decreased just because those are the close players don't strike out quite as much. And they're a little bit more contact oriented. So I think it's been pretty interesting. And then you get Brash back, and last night wasn't as crisp. I think he throws that changeup. I know he likes it like it's a new toy. I don't think he should throw it quite as much as he throws. It's got a ton of movement, and it's a really good pitch. But man,
is that the one that hit? Is that the one that hit?
Urias?
Yeah.
No, that was a 97 mile per hour fastball that
right.
put his life.
That's right.
But no, I mean, like the bullpen pieces are starting to come back a little bit. And if George Kirby comes back here in a week or so, I mean, like they're rolling pretty well. Do you think that when they bring George back, they put Bryce on the IL and let him rest for 2 weeks?
I mean, we've talked about it a lot on here. He just does. There's something wrong with him. I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look comfortable. I mean, the velocity, all of it. I mean, we keep talking about kind of the same storyline with him after every start. Yeah, I mean, I just thought I think that's always been the kind of my thought that, he's going to spend some time on the IL. Whether it's maybe he's injured or there's something leading to it that's going to cause something bigger down the road, or maybe just needs a break.
Yeah, I mean, like we joked about it, but the Gilmesh dead arm that he used to get, and I would take an IL stint to clean it up, rest. One thing too, maybe is like, and he's got pretty simple delivery, but if there are times like if your mechanics are off and your timing on your delivery is off, that can sap 2 to 3 miles per hour off your velocity, and leave you and kind of rob you of your command, because it's difficult to repeat it, and there's some mistake in there that you keep repeating that doesn't allow you to get to where you're supposed to be to throw. And I mean, I'm sure they're looking at that, but he just isn't able to execute pitches when he needs to. And, he's really hittable. He's not getting strikeouts. I mean, think about this. If he didn't have that off-speed stuff, all those off-speed pitches that he added, I mean, he'd be really cooked, because the fastball's been really hittable when he throws it in the strike zone.
Yeah.
And even when he tries to hump it up on a fastball and get a blow-by on a four-seam, it's only getting to 95. Whereas before, if he really wanted to reach back and throw one top of the zone, it'd be 96 to 97, even 98 at times.
Well, what do you got going back to the hitters for a second? Going back to the strikeouts, they're now in the middle of the pack in baseball. They're like 13th or 14th in terms of their strikeout percentage. How much credit do we give Seitzer? Do we give Edgar? Is it the players? What has led to this turnaround for them? Because that has been a huge difference from where it was a year ago. Huge difference where it was the last few years in terms of their strikeouts, when they're in the high, mid 20s. Now they're at, they've lowered that, so they're in the middle pack of baseball. Their walk rate is through the roof. They're number one on base percentage and all that. So I know the simple answer is probably the combination of both, but I'm just curious what they've been able to do to cut down on that stuff for them.
Well, I think you mentioned it. The walk rate is a big reason how you cut down on the strikeouts. If you walk more, and it means you're seeing better pitches and you're having more discipline within the strike zone. I think, also when you're rolling well and your offense is producing, you don't feel like you have to go out of the strike zone to do something. But, you watch Randy or Julio, they are having different sort of at bats than they were last year. With Polanco, he's healthier. He doesn't feel like he's out on one leg kind of reaching. So those are three of your main guys that are seeing a ton of plate appearances. Well, if they don't strike out as much and they walk more, that helps. You have Rivas in there he's going to try and put the ball in play early. He's not, and even like somebody like Dylan Moore, when you're using him properly, it helps cut down on the strikeouts. It's when you have to put him against a bunch of good right-handed pitchers where, that's a problem. They're going to strike out some. Cal's going to strike out some. But I think overall, the walk rate as a team and the walk rate for a lot of the key players going up helps limit the strikeouts. Because usually that means you're in better counts and you're swinging at better pitches to put the ball in play more, to lead to quality contact, or just, less swings and misses.
Last 15 games for Julio, including that big night that he had on Tuesday, the 3-hit night with the solo shot there to center field. 274, is on base at 348, slugging 468, OPS at 816, 3 home runs. He's driven in 9, drawn 6 walks, he struck out 10. What the one thing that you can look at with him, I did this exercise with Jim Duquette this week, is that if you look at his numbers, and again going back to the strikeouts and the walks, both areas that are market improvement from a year ago. Just in terms of what he's been able to do. He has gotten better in both of those categories. And Jim was saying, I'm sure you would agree, that maybe the other stuff, the results of the hitting and the power hasn't come, but he has at least looked at those two stats and said, well, if those are getting better, then ultimately just to piggyback on what you said, it's going to allow him to get deeper into counts and see more pitches and then thus be able to hit for more power here eventually. And then we saw that on full display on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. His chase rate is still up. I mean, he's still swinging at pitches out of zone. When he gets to 0-2, it's still a little bit. But I thought he's been better at battling with two strikes than maybe he was last year, a year or two ago. Still hits the ball hard, but I even think about the results. Like, the other night, it wasn't last night, but the night before, he hit two balls to right center that all the way to the track that were hit really hard. I mean, checking out his hard hit rate, the batting average and balls in play. Like, I was joking with some of my buddies that Ben Williamson, his middle name should be Babbitt because of all the little bleeders and stuff that have been falling and stuff like that.
He gets it done.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is like it works in a couple different ways. Like Julio, I can think of 4 or 5 balls where Julio's hit them very extremely hard and they've been caught, made by solid plays. I mean, so you take 5 balls that he's hit hard. I think several of them come with runners on base. If those balls are down for doubles, then you're talking about a very different thing. I mean, I think because of who he is, what is expected, what he's making, we're quick to find the criticisms in him. And I mean, like, he brings it on himself because he is out there on social media and everything else. So we're quicker, I think, to find the faults than we are with the positives. But I mean, like, this version of Julio is pretty good, and it's going to get better as they go. I think just continuing to be where he's at. You got to remember, like, he had to make some serious overhauls to his approach, his swing, his mentality, all in the last 40 games of last season. I mean, that's still carrying over into this season. And I think just continuing to follow this path is going to be a pretty good thing. We're seeing, I mean, like, when he hits a ball to center as hard as he does, I mean, that's a good thing. When he's cooking balls there, that means, that, like, when he yanked the hanger, that means, like, you're hitting the ball to center on the fastball, you get the hanger, jump on it, yank it down the line. Like, I think he's just in a better spot hitting-wise. And I think he has a better hitting identity than he did a year ago. Yeah. There's going to be lulls and everything else, but we haven't even seen him truly, truly get hot. But, I mean, you look at this first month and a half, or the first month and a half, you'll take that over what we've seen from him in the last month and a year ago, 2 years ago. I mean, those were super tepid and really bad. So, and I think the one thing is, too, with Cal doing what he's doing, with Randy being better, Polanco being better, he doesn't feel the burden sometimes of having to produce, I mean, JP, we haven't even talked about JP. Like, that guy is as locked in with his swing. Like, that ball he hit last night off the left, he just scalded it to center. You're like, okay, like, this is the guy you thought. I mean, right. We're not seeing maybe the power, but this is who JP Crawford is. And I know Adam's working on a story on this, but JP just kind of got back to a different mindset of going up there and competing. Like, at the end of the day, and we talked about this before, you can't worry about your swing, your stance, your setup, all that stuff when you're in the box. All you're doing now is having the approach of trying to hit the ball hard up the middle, looking for stuff like usually up or out over the plate, and go back to that. And I think that's what JP is starting to get back to. I think when stuff went wrong last year, he got caught up in the idea of his drive line mindset, that's off-season work. That's how you build your swing and how you do that, and you maintain it pregame. But once you get in the game, you can't do that. And I do think JP was banged up, and I think he got caught up by the results. I mean, nobody wants to put up bad numbers. It doesn't matter how much you guys make. I mean, how much these guys make. Well, I guess you're Anthony Rendon. You don't really care, but
yeah, there's pressure to that, though. Money equals pressure, and I think that
when there's a pride factor, like, these guys have all been the best player on their teams growing up. They don't want to suck at the big league level. They worked their entire lives to get to the big leagues. They don't want to be terrible.
Well, and he had such a poor year, and then you look at they missed the postseason by a game. Was it a game last year?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
nobody
you miss him
takes
by a
that more
game.
personally than he does. You
Of
know,
course, and he wears it. I think that he has wanted to carry the mantle of the team leader, right? That was probably bestowed upon him from Kyle Seager. So I think he takes great pride in being one of the leaders of the baseball team, along with others. Him and Cal, and certainly Julio to a degree. And so I think that how he performed last year. I think he's heard, I think he's heard outside noise. I think they all hear the outside noise about him and wondering if the year that he, had a few seasons ago was just kind of a one-hit wonder. We've talked about that. What is he going to be? Is he going to be more that guy or the guy that he really has been his entire career? So I think you go back to what you said earlier. It's a lot of pride with him. And I think that it's showing this year. I mean, he's just off to, first of all, he didn't get off to the great start. And then he has just been on a tear. I mean, he's up to 292 now. He's almost slugging 400. His OPS at 814. He's on bases at 416.
416 on base, which still, I love the Duquette stat that no player has an on base as high as Aaron Judge's.
Unbelievable. That just tells you, the
but no,
insane year that Judge is having.
I think this is why, I think Julio's had some early success is because others are having success. He doesn't need to carry, it's a different look because, Robles is in there, but you like the first five guys in their lineup a lot. It's just when it gets after the first five guys, you're like, okay, well, this is a little bit of duct tape and
can someone just
gum.
Get hit? But look at the I looked this up today and God, every time I look this stat up, and then one of these putzes that covers the team now has got it in their story. Then I'm like, why did I do any of the work? And I think it was Tim Booth who's filling in for you, along with Jude. Tim's on the road trip. Boy, he drew the great card to go to West Sacramento. I mean, look at their 7 through 9 hitters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys are hitting 251 with an on base of almost 340.
Yeah, to me, and that's one
great.
thing. To me, that's one thing. And you see some people on Twitter reference it because it's the easy stat to look at.
What?
Obviously, every old dude that I get from used to get in emails references the batting average. Yeah, batting average is a nice stat, but to me, the most important thing is how much do you get on base?
Yeah,
you're a 7, 8, 9 hitter. How do you get on base? And the outs you do, the outs you do make better be productive outs, like contact outs. Don't be striking out a bunch. That was the problem in the past, is just they struck out too much. They struck out too much with runners in scoring position. And their numbers with runners in scoring position aren't even that great right now. But just be productive, be efficient, and get the ball in play, on a above average level, and better things will happen because they are pretty athletic. They are. They're not. This isn't a team of plotters other than, Rowdy, who looks like your long lost brother. But no, I just think that I think they're just in a better spot. I think if you'd have told me though that they wouldn't have had Kirby the first month and a half, and Robles would essentially missed the first month and a half. Polanco had been dinged up. I was like, there's no way. I would have said you would have needed guys like JP to have outstanding, be really good during the stretch, and that's what they've gotten. I mean, Randy, JP, Cal, Julio, they've all been pretty solid, and you're getting contributions, and you're getting just enough, and even Dylan Moore. So you're getting just enough too that these other guys in the bottom parts of the lineup are getting on base, that you're creating traffic and you're kind of just forcing teams into it. I'm
numbers
I don't know how they really get.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Gary Hill, of course, the fantastic announcer, and, of course, Edward R. Murrow's School of Communication Hall of Famer, had a note on Twitter. I mean, 18-7 over the past month. And you look at their stats offensively. Runs, 147, number 1 in baseball. Tied for the most home runs. Number 2 in on base. Number 2 in walk percentage. Number 3 in slugging. Barrel rate percentage, number 2. I mean, if you would have told me in the offseason or when we did our preview show that it was the offense that's carrying this team, or if I told you that it's the offense that's carrying this team right now to first place in the American League West, you would say what?
Drug testing available or what?
You wouldn't have believed it, would you? No one would have
really.
believed
I knew that they wouldn't carry. I knew they were better than what they've shown.
But not like carrying this good.
No, and I didn't even look to Gary list like how many of the plate appearances came on the road versus at home.
No,
I didn't see that part. I mean, like I haven't looked at the splits exactly on that either, but they're going to get back home. That's going to be different. I mean, I don't know what the weather is like out there. Is it warming up a little bit? I mean,
yeah,
that's the one
it's
thing
been
too.
nice, but their numbers at home have been good.
Yeah, they've been good. I mean, but like in the wet, but the weather's been okay. But I think to me, like the overall approach is more conducive to playing at T-Mobile Park. That approach of putting the ball in play and just trying. It's not like that. The funny thing is, it's not like Scott Service did preach this. That he wanted more to put the ball in play more. I just think that how the people they had delivering that message to the players maybe wasn't online with how to get the best out of them. Whereas, like, I mean, you've heard Kevin Sizer talk. Yeah, well, shucks, we just kind of do this Mississippi thing where we get that ball in play. And Edgar is like, light bat, ball in play. It's like, it's very simple. They don't overcomplicate the situation. Yeah. They have all the numbers. They have all the metrics. They have everything else. But at the end of the day, like, they measure it more on just like, do you have a productive at bat or not? What is their value? Like, maybe it's the overall what they deem as a productive at bat may be different versus what Scott Service, Jared DeHart, and all those guys viewed as a productive at bat. But really, mostly in baseball terms, like if you look at it the simplest way, did you get on base?
Yeah.
Did you have a good at bat? Did you make him throw pitches? Did you hit the ball? Did you like those are what's productive? I mean, even strikeouts can be productive as long as how you measure it. But if you get too fine and too granular and search too much for one perfect result, I think that's a bad way to be because it's so hard to hit a perfect result in baseball with how good the pitching is.
Yeah.
Like, get that one pitch.
If you look at their let me ask you that though. What'd you make of because you just said get that one pitch, so it reminded me of game number 1 of the series. What did you make of Dan Wilson's decision to intentionally walk the 2 batters to get to Jacob Wilson?
I was curious because I mean, like Langeliers has power and he's cut down on the strikeouts, but like if you're looking for a ground ball on a double play, like you're beating him in a foot race. So I'm like, maybe you should go that way. I just think the problem that he runs into. You don't have guys that can strike guys out. Other than Brash and Munoz, nobody generates strikeouts in that bullpen. So I'm like, you want the ground ball, and like you were talking about, the depth they were playing and the personnel that they had out there, it wasn't conducive to getting that. I mean, I guess in that situation, you bases loaded. All you're looking for is one play at home. You're looking for one out. Okay. Double play is bonus. You're looking for the out at home, and then if you get the one. If you can make a play to get the double play at first, it's bonus. It's gravy.
Okay.
But you're looking for that because then you got 2 outs and you can go back to normal depth and whatever. But
that was the thing, though, is the way that at least I took it from Wilson was that they were setting that up to get the double play.
Yeah.
So then I'm wondering, okay, well,
that's home.
Yeah, you're going home first. I mean, that's that's got to be a tough one to pull off. But okay, but. That's what I just didn't quite. I mean, there was some. I mean, shoot, we second guess all the time, and it's the beauty of it, and that's what's fun about sports and all that. But I just with the personnel that he had in, knowing that Polanco, I mean, that's his first game at second base, and now you're throwing him in that situation. I mean, if you want to try and get off the double play, and okay, but I just didn't understand having them in to go home. And then his explanation afterwards, but whatever. It's not the
and then also though, kind of where your bullpen is at is like you're either winning it there or losing it there. Like you're either going to extend it, try and win it the next inning, or you're done because you can't just keep running guys out there. I mean that was kind of the old mindset before too. Sometimes like, look, we're either winning it here or losing it here. There's no in between. So I think that's a problem. But we don't. His bullpen setup isn't ideal right now just because it's a lot of contact guys, and you're trying to, and they've ran them hard. Bryce has put them in a bad position a couple times. They've used guys. You've had some extra inning games. I'm like, man, I didn't think there's any way they were going to use Munoz yesterday And, I didn't think the A's were going to use Mason Miller, because I watched Mason Miller have an extended outing against the Marlins where he blew it too. Like, guys are getting run hard early. You gotta find ways.
How about
If that means that the dude has to go it's like the
Ferguson guy going 4 straight days.
Yeah, but
Jesus.
it's dudes versus Jags. Ferguson is just another guy. Mason Miller's a dude. You protect the dudes. If Ferguson goes on the IL because you overcooked him, well, you know what? We'll withstand the couple weeks. It's similar with like Carlos Vargas. As nice as he's been, as much as surprised as he's been, he ain't Andres Munoz. So
I know.
you got to wear it. You got to go out there.
Yeah.
So, and he does, like, Vargas does have kind of like the ability to go, but I'm certain he won't be available today.
Sure.
Like,
Do you like the way he's been using the bull? Do you like the way he's been using Munoz?
It's been fine. I mean, like, sometimes I think you'd still rather have him against the better hitters.
Okay.
But this is how he wants to do it. It's more old school. Like, a lot of times now, and people are like getting upset. Sometimes you see on social media, it was like, all you people that lamented service the way he did it and were calling for Lou, this is more how Lou did it,
Of course.
Like, let's not say that Lou was perfect, because he ran Bobby Ayala out there a lot, man.
Yes, he did. I like this way more, just because I think when you have someone like that, I think for his sake, I mean, maybe it doesn't bother him, or maybe it doesn't affect him at all. I just think that he knows that he's coming in every night. He knows exactly the situation he's coming in.
But I mean, like, they would tell those guys too, though, that like 8th or 9th, Munoz, you've got Trout, you got Trout, and or you got Rooker. I mean, like, to me, that's the one thing is, like, you're coming up in a situation in the 8th inning, and you got Butler, Rooker, and Wilson in a row or whatever. Don't you want Munoz going up, or do you want Snyder?
Yeah, and I don't think he's married to what he's doing. I just think it's what he's doing now. I think he's going to adjust, because I think they adjusted in the past too.
Yeah, I mean, that may be the one thing is like, because let's say they get to the playoffs, aren't you gonna in the playoffs if like you're facing Cleveland, and they've got if they got Jose Ramirez, one of my favorites, coming up and stuff, you want Munoz, don't you? Or
for sure.
Are you going to go with Colin Snyder? I mean, like, the same thing. Now that you get Brash back, it makes it a little more tenable in the 8th inning to bring him in. Still, you can tell he's still not like the rust isn't completely gone. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to do it one way. The one thing is you don't want to abruptly change it without kind of noticing, like, giving those guys notice. Like, Munoz has always been your ninth guy, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks from now you say, hey, you know what, we better go with him in the 8th. You better they better know, because like that's one thing is like they'd have all these meetings with Pete Woodworth and Trent Blank and all their strategy and their advanced scout Sam Ryerson, so players knew when they were coming in. Like, they knew which guys they were facing, like Gabe Spire knows who he's going to face. Sure. and those guys. So that's the only thing. Like, if you're Munoz, you just tell Munoz, hey, if it's 2, 3, 4 coming up, you're probably in there, bud.
Yeah. What did you make of the Taveras pickup? They're gonna have to eat $3.5 million. I like it's good pickup. This is a guy that I don't, whatever's happened to him this year, they need help in the outfield because of the injury situation. And hell, if he can get back to where he was, 2 years ago? He's still relatively young.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like, what else could they have gotten at this point in the season? You're paying a little extra money, but you're not giving up a prospect either. Nope. I mean, like, if you wanted to make a trade to get a 4th outfielder, you're still giving up something at this point in the season. So you're getting a guy that can play defense.
Yep,
he can run. He's switch hitter, and maybe they feel like their approach and the group of players they have pushing this approach will help him. I mean, 2 years ago when they made the World Series run, he was a world beater. Like, I was like, he was a real pain for people. But, players fall out, they pick up bad habits. Look at what happened with Victor Robles, fallen prospect. Nobody thought he could be anything. And, you take a flyer on him and see. I mean, I think you invest in it just because what you're basically putting utility players out there more often than not
Well,
to
when
be
they
the
got
fourth
in
outfielder.
they got in the situation the other day where you got to put Rivas out in left field.
Yeah, and you don't want that, And now that Dylan Moore's back and Mastroboni's actually pretty good in the outfield, but like you just at some point get a real outfielder, get a real fourth outfielder, and it was because Samad was a utility guy, and then obviously Cade Marlowe, they're not bringing him up, so then it's like, who do you have? Like, what AAA player or quad A player could you have gone out and got to do this? I mean, this is a real major league player.
I mean, what's their feeling on Canzone then?
I mean, like he needs to show him something more than he is. Now he's hitting down there, but maybe that's what he's always going to be as a quad A level player. The one thing is like positionally, he's kind of stuck. He plays outfield, but he's not elite. And, he's DH and didn't play first, and they have Tellez and they'll have Rayleigh's out for a while, but I assume Dom Canzone will get called up a couple more times this year just because of how injuries and situations work. But he's got to kind of prove it.
Yeah. Well, you're the best, and whatever radio station that you have going on in the background, I don't know, you can find the name of that. I mean, they're just playing hits after hits.
I know you belong to the city, but is that Glenn Fry, isn't it?
Jesus, man. I mean, I wasn't even paying attention to half the time what you were saying. I was just listening
I'm not even paying attention to what I say either, so it works pretty good.
All right, who the North Stars got who this weekend? I know you
Miles City Mavericks.
The Miles, good name. I bet you they got good uniforms.
Yeah, I would think so. We got
what do you got?
Our main colors are navy and white.
Good.
And silver. They implemented some red a few years ago, which I hated. So I've kind of worked some of the red out of our uniforms and our apparel gear. And then we've got some throwback Carolina blue tops coming in too as well. So trying to break those out.
Does it have like a matching hat?
Huh?
Does it have that? Does it have a hat that goes with that?
No, we got the old school navy one. I might send you one to put on the thing. It's pretty
love
sweet.
To get a hat. It'd be great. I want to come out and watch the North Stars play.
I got a couple extra smalls for the little terror that lives in your house as well.
Yeah.
Has he flipped anybody off lately or anything like that?
He hasn't flipped anybody off, but boy, he still runs a little hot. What advice do you give to an 11-year-old that runs a little hot on the baseball field?
I was that kid every day. I mean, like when I was, even in college, I broke so many controllers on PlayStation because the computer cheats.
Yeah, of course it does.
I don't know, man.
It's a nightly conversation. Can you just please calm down?
Yeah,
please.
We have a thing. I was like, you have 5 seconds to be pissed off, and then you have to get rid of it. And we call it leave it, learn from it, and leave it in your rear view.
Okay.
I go, you have 5 seconds to learn from it and leave it. Now that doesn't always work, but that's what we tell them.
All right. So, I'm going to use that. Yeah. I'm going to use that coaching advice there from Ryan Divish. All right, there he is, our MLB insider, Ryan Divish. His weekly chat talking all things Mariners brought to you by Chalet Bowl. They've been locally family-owned and operated for over 40 years, delivering top-notch customer service, a unique 12-lane experience. Check them out, chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Good luck to the boys this weekend.
Thanks, man.